There.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. It is Mondays at Microsoft. We're so happy to be with you for our last show of 2023. My name is Karuana Gatimu, and I am with my dear friend.
Hi, it's Heather Cook, everybody. Hello. Yay.
Yes, and folks, by now, hopefully I run the Microsoft 365 Customer Advocacy Group, and Heather.
Yes, I'm a principal PM over in where am I? I was like, oh yeah, Power Platform and Dynamics 365 community over in business applications. So here we go. Yeah,
Absolutely. And we're here to share with you all the news and happenings that's going on across Microsoft. I don't know about you all, but I'm a bit tired. I was just sharing with Heather that we're having a paper bag Christmas this year. We're just keeping everything really low key. There's stuff under the tree in plastic bags. We're just being a little bit mellow because it's been one heck of a year. Don't you agree, Heather?
I do agree. Yeah, especially coming into the last sort of starting September, like it was just a pace. I mean, I think the whole year's been like that, but for definitely a pace. And as you know, I had some surgery. I had my thyroid out, my last half that was left out. So I've been recovering from that as well. So yeah, I'm ready for
Yeah, because even more will be happening next year. That is for sure. But we're going to cover all of the big rocks at Microsoft, product announcements in case you missed them, and upcoming community events. So we're just going to go ahead and hop into that.
Yeah,
Much goodness going on. Heather and I are really excited about this Microsoft big rock that we want to talk about because Microsoft CoPilot has been expanded to education, the education sector. There's many of you having questions about this. Now, this is specifically for faculty and staff. This is not for the student license. This is for faculty and staff. And what's important is that we've expanded our commercial data protection for Microsoft CoPilot. And so that means that when you're in a browser, you can sign in with your institution credentials, and then you'll have that commercial data protection over the prompts and the queries that you're using. So if you are part of academia in higher education or what have you, or using an education tenant, it's really important you start having this conversation about what are your policies around using AI in education scenarios. Of course, we have from our responsible AI team some guidance on that, some conversation on that. But I mean, I'm excited about this, Heather. I know you went and got all the good data on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you and I always talk about and try to include when we're, giving presentations, we're talking about any of this stuff about our education folks and our government folks, because a lot of times, you don't get things as quickly. Maybe they're not on the general availability schedule. So this is really exciting. I mean, all of this stuff just really went live on November 1st, right? So not a bad clip to get this now. Sometimes it's months, so definitely before the end of the year was really cool. And you can check out all the licensing information in the blog post at the link that we just put up there. But there's a lot of information on all of the different changes to the licensing agreements, the A's and the E's and all that goodness. So I'm not going to go through it, but check it all out. And if you're an educator, definitely maybe it's something to play with over the holidays. For sure.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things you should definitely be checking out is the AI Classroom Toolkit. Right.
Yes.
The AI Classroom Toolkit is an important component. There'll be more of this kind of stuff coming in the new year. But that will also help teachers and students understand using generative AI safely, right? The safety layer is built into our AI services, but there are also safe practices that we as humans need to take when we're using a Copilot experiences. Always checking the results, adjusting a prompt, making sure that the information that we have is accurate. And so there's also that. And we also recently launched that Minecraft Hour of Code on Generative AI. That is so cool. I wish I had a game, Heather. I really like gaming. I like that my life had time for it, and I just don't.
Yeah, I don't either. I didn't really play Minecraft. I did last year buy myself an old Atari because that's what I grew up with. Like the joysticks and the paddles and all of that stuff. So I pulled that out and play Frogger and some other that kind of thing. I know that totally dates me, but I don't care. I love it. So I appreciate gaming very much. And we have a lot of friends that work in Xbox and they're doing really cool things and all the adaptive design and Yeah, it's really exciting, and there's a lot going on in that space. Oh, and I put a link, like a link in the script too, that literally there's like a huge actual discount, I think, going on with Xbox, like the consoles and everything right now across many different places. So definitely check that out, because I think that's cool as well.
That's always cool. Absolutely. Well, maybe over the holiday I can get in a little Halo or some Grand Theft Auto, or Forza or something like that.
Our handles. I can't remember what, like, that's right. I can't even remember what my handle is on Xbox.
Okay,
It's
well,
like,
you can always reset it. I know.
yeah, it's probably something like that, like one of those two. But yeah, that'll be kind of fun. But yeah, the other thing that we were looking at and talking about was the Microsoft Cloud for Sovereignty, which sounds very fancy. But but it's definitely, sovereignty is all about keeping everything compliant, secure, and your policy requirements and everything. So there's a whole new set of information out about that. It's Microsoft.com/sovereignty, which I'll put in the links here. But both of these, with education and the Cloud for Sovereignty, they both have Microsoft Learn tracks and information there. So that's really great too. So it's like not just announcements are coming out, but the Learn tracks for them are coming out at the same time. Again, that's super cool. Like, that's somebody paying attention, which is really awesome.
Our friends over in Microsoft Learn, and through all of the training content that's being created from, our engineering team and the folks over there, we're closely watching the product roadmap. We're doing everything that we can to make sure that Learn material is out, and a new collection bringing together all of the content of the learning paths for Microsoft CoPilot, Microsoft 365, etc. From a management and usage perspective will be coming in January. And of course, there's lots of new stuff that comes out on support.microsoft.com, which is the business user or the faculty member, the staff member, the user's information about how to actually use it. But there's a lot more to create and a lot more to do. But we're definitely trying to keep up with the learning content for all of you, so that you all have a way to go deeper, right? I know that I'll be doing some of that over the holiday. And we'll have more in the new year about the Microsoft Copilot Flight Crew and how you can earn badges and points by doing all of those things. Yes, it's going to be super exciting to share that with everyone. We're having a good time about it. So that'll be mid to late January. We'll actually light all that up.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I just put another link in that's a tech community blog from Jethro Seekers, who good friend that I traveled around South Africa with a few years ago with the SharePoint stuff. So he's that person that's really doing a lot in the education space. So if you don't already follow Jethro out on Twitter or on the tech community, he's one to keep an eyeball on, especially if you're doing that sort of stuff. So
absolutely. Yeah. And I think and there's still more new announcements. Sovereignty, the drift capabilities, or transparency logs, all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
But yes, there are definite holiday offers around Xbox. If you haven't enjoyed that yet, you definitely should. It's a good thing. And, one of the things about my Xbox is sometimes I just use it to watch streaming content as well. I mean, it's such a multimodal device at this point.
Yeah.
That's actually why I still know my handle, even though I haven't gamed very much, because I set it up in one of my nooks in the house so that I could, power my television with all that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. My fiance uses it a lot. He loves it. Plus he loves VR too. So that's interesting, like how that world is all coming together as well.
Absolutely. But we did some other fun stuff for holiday that you have in there, Heather. Want to share?
Yeah. So there's a whole set of links. It's called Make Your Holiday a Masterpiece. And this is all about, the new wild west of making prompts for AI. And so there's some folks in there. It was this transmedia artist, Ellie Pritz, transformed all of these holiday stories into prompts using AI and Microsoft Designer, and then turned them into what we're calling masterpieces. And so they're all a little different people's traditions from all over the world. And it's all like good stories and very cool. So it's, taking AI and taking the creative pieces of AI and melding them with the creative pieces of our human hearts, right? Which is what it should be in the first place. So this is really cool. You can go check it out and see what they did. And I haven't played. And I also saw the Funko prompt. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
The Funko little pop-ups, the little bobblehead pop-up Funkos. You can do a prompt now that will create you into a Funko.
Oh my Lord.
So crazy. And another fun fact, one of my friends that I went to high school with and was original orator with back at Wheaton Central, Jen Gerace, she works at the Funko here in Los Angeles and like runs the whole thing. Like hilarious. Like we found out, I was like, what? So okay. Anyway.
It's a small world. And you know, even if you just want to bring some holiday cheer to your team's meeting, we have new backgrounds for your team meetings at ak.ms Teams Custom Backgrounds. And by the way, you can submit your own. You can submit one for us to include in the master library. I'd love it if more people did. We had a spate of them for a while, and now with all the other stuff going on, it's come down a little bit. But you know, get your own background out there. Take an amazing photo, and you know, we'll definitely be crediting you. But we do have new holiday ones, and I'm a fan of using holiday backgrounds well into January. But I'm one of those people who doesn't take down her Christmas lights when she puts them up. This year the issue is
I don't like the holidays at all. Like, you know,
you don't like the holidays at all. Oh, that's hilarious.
I got these new. These are fun.
Oh, those are very fun. I love that. I just like that you can change them up. I don't have those glasses, so you're special.
Yeah, I know, and I just bought some more.
You buy glass things like I buy jewelry.
Totally, I do. It's ridiculous. So yeah.
So let's give you some more product stuff. One of the great announcements that we've made in the OneDrive space is that the OneDrive app will be replacing the Files app in Microsoft Teams in the new year. And what this does is it brings all of that richness that they have been programming into the OneDrive experience that you can see online when you go to OneDrive via your Microsoft 365 app directly into Teams. So being able to easily see content from the people that you've been collaborating with, the meeting content, filtering, searching, having your left rail of sites that hopefully you have linked into OneDrive, which is the best practice. So there's a brand new blog post about that. And so that will be an experience that will be changing in the new Teams client. Along with the fact that the intelligent recap that's in Teams Premium will also be included in CoPilot for Microsoft 365. Those are some of the big changes in the Teams space. But I really want to give a shout out to Mike Gennady. Mike is an awesome person. I have known him for a long time. He and I worked in health and life sciences accounts for a while together. And he's so passionate about helping people understand Microsoft 365. And he wrote a 12 Days of CoPilot blog post series. It's available on the tech community. That is just so cool. He's super creative. So if you're in health and life sciences, or even if you're not, a lot of the tips and the tricks that he gives out are really fun. But that's a great example of an adoption best practices, having a theme for your campaign. He does that beautifully for all his health and life sciences people. And you know, he's always reminding people of some of the basics and the fundamentals. With all this new talk about AI, if people aren't well grounded in their collaboration fundamentals, it'll be, you know, harder for them to get to the next level with CoPilot. So, you know, it's just fantastic. More great blogs that came out. Also, the Microsoft 365 app. Do y'all know what that is? That's when you go to Microsoft365.com, you know, office.com on your computer. That is the Microsoft 365 app. It is really your web-based gateway to all the Microsoft 365 services and beyond. In small and medium business, folks use that a lot. In enterprise, not as much. But it's a great place to just pin to kind of start your day and see all the updated content and what have you. So there's a wonderful blog post about what's new in that experience. They're continuing to make that better and better. I'm a big fan of it for small to medium business. It just organizes Microsoft 365 in a useful way. You've got your left rail there. You can pin things on and what have you. So if you haven't checked that out, you definitely should. And for all my builder developer friends out there, we had a huge announcement at European SharePoint and Azure conference just recently about SharePoint Embedded. And SharePoint Embedded is something that people have asked for a really, really long time. It is finally here, and it allows developers to use SharePoint as the content management system for their solutions. So think of it as kind of headless, navless SharePoint, right? And so much capability in there. Another great article a great visual in that article to help folks understand what that's about. This might not be you, but maybe it's one of your colleagues or the development team in your organization. So we hope you take this information and share it with those folks so that they can really understand why this is important. Because if you build an application using SharePoint Embedded, you're getting Microsoft 365 security and compliance. You're getting the power of the cloud and all of the work that we do to keep data within your tenant boundaries and what have you. So it's really important to have that available now. I know the team is super excited about it. They're kind of like kids in a candy store. Did you see Jeff announcing SharePoint Embedded? He was like,
jumped up and down. Yeah, it was awesome. He was like, yeah, it was very cool. Yeah, it's cool to see that SharePoint's been a backbone for a long time, and it is truly it's been the front, it's been the back, it's been the side, and it's the underpinning of everything, really, right? Teams on top, and SharePoint is what you have underneath there that's holding all those documents and making everything happen. So it's really exciting that more innovation is always happening there, right? It's been 22 years, y'all.
I know, maybe 22 years. We have a great interview with one of our community spotlights with the wonderful lady named Maria, who we interviewed this week. And I won't scoop our own segment that we're going to release in January, but she was another person like us that started in SharePoint, and she's CEO of her own company now. She consults with small and medium business. She's a fantastic advocate for communities as a person who's lived with cystic fibrosis for a long time, as a CFer. And so just a fantastic story, but another person who started in SharePoint and now has his career. I wonder if Jeff keeps track of how many of us have launched careers off of SharePoint.
Yeah, maybe, because there's a ton for sure. And everybody is, like, it's sort of cyclical too. Like people, your SharePoint, you go here and there and everything, but I don't know. I think it's sort of like your first car or something, maybe, you know what I mean? Like, or where you went to college or something, like you have this,
that makes sense.
An affinity of like, I went to University of Washington. So like, everybody's like, oh, you're a Husky. And I'm like, okay, sure. And yeah, I am, and I have that affinity, of course. And so like, I'm a SharePoint person of old for sure. So yeah,
it's always, and that's why the innovation that they're doing is fantastic. And of course, lots of announcements about SharePoint Premium. We have a new page that is available on adoption.microsoft.com to help explain more about SharePoint Premium. Now, people have been trying to wrap their brain around it. There's lots of capabilities and features. I have a feeling a few more will come after the beginning of the year. But that SharePoint Premium page will really help you. We're looking forward to our previews and getting customer feedback and really understanding, how it's being received and how people appreciate it and making the business case for it. So if SharePoint Premium isn't on your radar yet, probably should be, at least for some of the people in your organization. And by the way, that's true of all the premium stuff that we're releasing, whether it's Teams or CoPilot, Microsoft 365, capacity, and the different pricing levels that happen in the business applications world. It doesn't have to be for everyone in your organization, but certain solutions, certain people need these additional capabilities. Teams Premium, if you have people who are doing a lot of webinars, large executive meetings, board meetings, you need those capabilities that are even beyond the fact of intelligent recap and all the other AI that's built into it. So, definitely analyzing your environment to understand who needs what should be an activity that you do next quarter. If you didn't already.
I just put the link in the chat. Adoption.microsoft.com, y'all. If you don't have it bookmarked, please bookmark it and please share it with people in your organization. When did you start that? I remember when it started, it was like
about 6 years ago. I announced it at M365 conference in Vegas, probably 6 years ago. It was a single page that was a link aggregator of all the 16 different places where adoption content was. So it's been a while now.
It's just like and Jesse Huang, who works on Karuana's team, did a keynote with Karuana back in Amsterdam and went through all of this content, and Aaron and everybody who works on it. It's so well laid out. I'm a fangirl, obviously, but like I push content to it, so I love it. But this page looks so good, and it's that one-stop shop for so many segments of things. And so everybody, I cannot talk about adoption.microsoft.com enough. It's so great. It's beautiful. So
Thank
definitely
you.
check it out. Yeah, you're welcome. I just really,
And Aaron, our producer, who's on the channel, although you all don't see him, he is the chief developer also for that experience. He's wonderful, and he gets things done so quickly. I think it kind of spins everybody's head inside of Microsoft. So
completely, and we were talking about a new page for the new year as well about diversity and inclusion. We just did that community resources page, which pulled all the community resources in one place. We launched that at Ignite. We all did, and then we've been talking about like pulling together all of the community, like textilers and women for teams, women for SharePoint, all that stuff. So that page is coming, and I know we've been talking about getting that done too. So I'm really excited about that. So.
Yes, and you may not know this yet, but we're going to do a series on power skills. For in the cloud. Yeah, we're going to have our own playlist. Someone pitched me that idea the other day, and I signed us up for it because power skills are the new soft skills. They're not soft skills; they're power skills. You got to have them for your career and for really being able to drive adoption, to lead through change. And so, of course, Heather and I have a few things to say about that. We usually do at most conferences, and now we're going to put it online. So I'm excited about the power skills segment. We can put that on that D&I page, Heather.
Okay, that sounds great. Speaking of power, good segue. So power, the business application side of the house, Power Apps. So many of you know Scott DeRoche. Shout out to Scott. Just joined Microsoft as a cloud advocate. So very exciting about that. And then a great blog post that's really dedicated to developers in the Power Apps and Power Platform space. So it's like how to accelerate your developer productivity using Power Platform. There's links to get that free developer plan, the self-paced learning paths, all the documentation. But it's really, the blog post is really, I would call it almost philosophical in a way. It's really a beautifully written piece on just sort of thinking through with the mind of a developer, because that's what he is and has been forever, and huge in the Microsoft MVP space for such a long time with great stuff. So definitely, if you haven't followed Scott in the past, you should follow him now, because he's writing so beautifully about these subjects and really has the pro dev and this developer experience in mind for sure. And then there's always so many product, features that are coming out. A couple of things in the Power Apps, environment variables, which are now always visible and editable during solution import and pipeline deployments. And so those things, I think in the past, you couldn't always see them. It wasn't visible. So now they are. So that's a nice big upgrade there for folks who are playing in that space. And also seamless Dataverse image and file support in Canvas offline apps. So if you think about these two features, they're things that are really kind of specific about when you're in there doing your thing and what you can see and what you can't and when they're available. And so the team has been really working on, some of these big giant things, right? But these are the tiny things that make a big difference in the everyday life of people who are creating Power Apps that you're doing and developers, right? So I love that the team's got the big ideas, and then they're still honing down in fundamentals of like, what could make this easier for you? Right. And things that are on the lists of ideas of like, could you please fix this? So there's a lot of goodness going on there with the team. So kudos to the team on that. With Power Pages, there's kind of like no more on one of these items. It's the Legacy Portal Admin Center. No longer available as of the 5th. So you have to manage Power Pages websites from the PPAC, which is the Power Platform Admin Center. That's the acronym that everybody says. So it's that commitment to really moving forward, and saying, okay, this is done, and now we're going to the next thing. The Admin Center was launched in 2022, and now it's been deprecated for sure. So definitely, got to move on over. So that's a big thing. So yeah, not always. That's like cutoffs. You're like, whoa. Usually you like go forever, but nope, we're done. So moving on, as they say. Let's see. Fabric Power BI. There's some pre-built Azure AI services in Fabric, and they just announced a bunch more of those for public preview. So that's Azure OpenAI Service, Azure AI Language, and Azure AI Translation. So there's lots of AI services being added in as we speak. So the Microsoft Fabric blog, there's at least 3 to 4 blogs every week coming out with features in Fabric. So definitely, if you haven't bookmarked that, that's a big thing. And then there's also OneLake and Azure Storage Explorer. There's some new information there for actually integrating with Windows File Explorer. Again, seeing things in the places where you're used to seeing them potentially that might not have been done in the first place, right? So that's exciting to like the what you know and love. It's like coming up and you can see it now, which is really cool. So a lot of cool innovations on some fundamentals, I think. So,
and where are you going to learn about all this? Where you're going to learn about this and all these amazing events that are going to be happening in the next half. We're excited. We're very excited about Microsoft 365 conference that is coming up at the first week of May. It actually the pre-days start on the 29th or 30th, and then actually regular content the rest of the time. You can get your early bird. We'll be there. It's going to be a huge blowout this year. And that is going to be the place where you can learn about AI capabilities across Microsoft inside of Microsoft 365, CoPilot Studio, all the good stuff. So all the AI, all the collaboration, all the telephony, all the good stuff. Plus, we're going to have a ton of fun because, we're going to be in Orlando at Universal Studios. It's going to be spectacular.
That's
but
awesome.
If you can't get to that, or your organization won't, fund that particular ticket, there's so many fantastic community days events that are coming up. And so I'm really excited to get the content packs about Microsoft Copilot and Copilot experiences out to the community day speakers. There's already people who have generated amazing content on their own, or MVPs and people who speak. And plus so much has already been happening. Heather has a fantastic list in our script.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we so in the past little bit we had community days, Dynamics UG Autumn Conference in Norway. There was the Collab Days Lisbon. There was also M365 Saturday in Thiruvananthapuram in Kerala in India. We went to ESPC, as you all know, Amsterdam, Merida in the Yucatan in Mexico, and then also Aviva Engage Festival in APAC. And a few of these popped up because they weren't there last time 2 weeks ago. So in Ahmedabad in India, that one's coming up January 5th and 6th. That's new. AMS Strasbourg, that's also new in France. That's also hybrid, January 18th. There's an Azure OpenAI and ChatGPT Fest coming up January 18th and 19th in Reston. And the Lagos, Nigeria Community Days, that's moved a couple of times, I believe. And now it's actually set for January 27th coming up. So, yeah, it didn't go past January, but we'll also know that there's Community Days Miami coming up in February 2nd.
February. Let's all go to Miami. I think that sounds like a good idea. But I'm a big sun. I'm follow the sun. I'm pretty much like a bird. So that's why I'm in Arizona, right? Exactly.
Yeah,
but remember, the community days are not only the place that you can learn about the technology and build your skills, but it's also the place where you can meet local people and understand, meet more folks around you, understand the local job market, build different power skills like speaking and just being a part of something bigger than yourself. That's why I always like being in the community. But now more than ever, the human connection that we get from community is essential. Because these AI services that we are bringing to the table from a technology standpoint, can bring out the best of us when we are connected to each other and connected to the outcomes that we want to drive. So, if you're not connected in the community, please, avail yourself of it. And if you'd like to create your own community days in your particular neighborhood, then you can visit communitydays.org and get started. We're going to have even more training material available for new community organizers in January. It's just fantastic being part of that community of people who like to build community. I'm a big fan of those folks. We're a lot of fun. I think we're fun, Heather. You think we're fun? I think we're a little fun.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
Go ahead, please.
No. I'm just excited. I'm excited about the new year. I'm excited to have a little downtime. I think, as we've seen, the, in-person events are definitely back. And, I think there's lots of energy around community days and collab days and experts live and all of these wonderful events that producers are putting on, and a lot of talk about user groups as well. People are like, hey, maybe let's spin this back up. I had a post this morning pop up on Facebook memories that was like, it was me being all like, it's, December 18th, 2020. I'm looking forward to, and I was like, wow, like looking back on the last 4 years, right?
Yeah, it's just been a huge shift for the planet, a huge shift for all of us. Think about hybrid work. I'm sitting in Arizona right now. I never thought I'd be able to leave the PNW and still pursue my career goals and be a part of something like what we're doing, getting to work with you. I really want to take a moment too, and I know we both do, to thank all of you for helping us make this show successful, for being willing to listen to us and share your Monday morning. We're so appreciative of all the support that we get from the community. We're trying to do our best for you to keep you up to date. And I want to give a big shout out to my co-host, Heather, who always brings so much positive energy and is one of the hardest working people I know. She does a ton of the research for this show and prepares the script and all of the links very often. Sometimes I try to contribute, but I'm not as good at that as she is. And so, Heather, thank you for going on this journey, this wild and crazy. Let's see if a streaming show will work on Monday mornings, right? I had the name and the idea, but I didn't, but it's like with your partnership, it's really great to be able to make things real. So thank you for being on the ride with me.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's always a fun ride working with you on this and so many projects. So thank you for your partnership, just doing all kinds of cool things from, we have to take all the events digital, that happened back in March of 2020 and other things that you and I've gotten to do together for, all over the time. So I really appreciate you and you as well, and all of our community. You said it as well. I'm overwhelmed always with the kindness and goodness of everybody that we get to work with and how everybody shows up, and it's just awesome. The whole sharing is caring, and all the things that are happening on social media and things that happen behind the scenes that nobody ever knows about that people do for each other. It's just unbelievable, and we get to see it because we get to be sort of behind and in front. And so just everybody keep up the good work with each other. We need it more than ever. So yay you, and great job, everybody.
Value that human connection. Be kind to yourself. Invest in your power skills. Give folks a break. Assume positive intent. These are the things that are going to make the difference as we go into 2024. So I know we're a couple minutes over, but I just really want to take the time to thank everyone. You have a wonderful holiday, whatever you celebrate or don't. But spend time with yourself and your families, we hope. And we will see you again on January 8th. January 8th, we'll be back in 2024, ringing in the new year. We'll see you all very soon.
Ding-a-ling. All right, absolutely. Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you, Carol.
Bye.
Thanks, Erin. And thank you, Alistair.